decimation, born from the 12 tribes of Israel. And it's high time you wake out of sleep. Christianity is a damn joke. Christianity is a curse to our people.
This is reality.
That's right.
This is reality. We're going to show you why. You have destroyed yourself.
So we're supposed to give a warning. We're not judging you, we're warning you.
Well, have we seen any change? Have we seen anything that has changed our people? Changed our neighborhood?
Natalie, nice to meet you. My name is Ephraim, okay? Nice to meet you too. So now, you want to know about our history, right? First off, tell me a little about yourself, Natalie. What's your nationality? Your parents are both Cuban. Okay. So, as you see here, right, the so-called Cubans, I say the word so-called, right, because we have been called many different names throughout the years, okay? Now, according to God, right, you are a descendant of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Okay?
Right.
Not only that, but out of all the 12 tribes, you come from the tribe of Manasseh.
Right.
Okay? So now, we're here to prove all things according to the Bible. How did we get that information? You might be saying, well, I don't know, that sounds kind of fishy to me, because there's people calling themselves Jews down the street, right? There are, right? But we're here to prove to you that, to be honest, your whole history has been a lie, okay? So now, where you go? Deuteronomy 29:1, okay? So you know that part. We can work with you, all right? Now it's time to give you the information, all right? Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 29 verse 1. These are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel.
So now, Moses was told by God to make a covenant with the children of Israel. He was told to tell them, when you make a covenant, right? You have a cell phone bill? You have a contract? That's a covenant, right? Oh, you don't? Okay. Okay, so now, you have a contract or a covenant, you have a good part to it, right? If you pay the bill, you get to keep your cell phone, you get to make calls, right? If you don't, what happens? No phone, right? They shut it off the line and now you can't call nobody. Now, the same with God. He said, the good part to your covenant, I'm going to bless you. But now the bad part, because that's the part we want to focus on. Because of a lot of in the Cuban history, right, that you know of, has a lot of it been mostly good or mostly bad? Yeah, mostly bad, right? Starting in 1492 with the conquistadors, right? Let me get the sign real quick. I got it. Right? Starting in 1492 with the conquistadors on to today, most of our history has been bad, okay? And we can't sugarcoat it, because that's the truth. Now we're going to find out why, right? Give me 28:15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So now God is talking to the Israelites, right? He's saying, if you will not listen to the voice of God, which is this Bible, right? Keep reading.
To observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Now he says, if you will not listen to me and do my laws, statutes, and commandments, that these curses are going to come upon you, okay? Is a curse a good or a bad thing? It's bad, right? So now, give me verse 49, okay? We're going to get to the point.
Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So now, you know a little bit about our history? The Black and Hispanic history. All right. So now, in 1492, who came to America from another land? The Spaniards, right? Okay. So now, what I want you to keep that in mind, right? And I want you to see if that correlates with what we're reading, okay? Read that.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So, on this side of the world is the Western Hemisphere. What's the other side called? And is it not far from here, right? It's on the other side of the world, right? Keep reading.
From the end of the earth.
The other end.
As swift as the eagle flies.
So now, it says as swift as the eagle flies. That's the... No, you're good. Hold that sign up.
Bring it out.
So now, that's why we got all these pictures, right? So now, read that again.
As swift as the eagle flies.
So now God says they will come over here as swift as the eagle flies. That's a key word, okay? Because when you look here, right, this is in Creole, but you get the drift, right? This is a Greek coin, right? What do you have there? It's an eagle. It's an eagle. Yeah. And what about right here? That's an eagle, right? This is a Roman coin. This one is actually Spain. It's a Spaniard coin. When you look on the flag of Spain, there's an eagle on the flag as well. Okay, as well with America, as you see today. Okay, all the Caucasian nations all have this symbol. Okay, keep reading.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Because we didn't understand their language when they arrived here in this side of the world, and we're going to prove that to you.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance.
So now, this nation of fierce countenance, let's stick to the idea of the Spaniards, right? The Spaniards came over here in 1492, right? This is some of the things that they did to our people. You can read a lot of it in a book called Bartolomé de las Casas, all right? He was a historian. He was actually a priest that came over here on this side of the world and witnessed all the atrocities that the Spaniards did to our people. De las Casas, yeah, okay? You can look it up. They got a book on Amazon, like $10, okay? He's got all these pictures inside here. We didn't draw none of these up, okay? So now, it says a nation of fierce countenance. This is what the Spaniards did. They killed our children. That's it, genocide. American Holocaust. That's another book. But this is our Holocaust. This is hardly ever spoken of, right? Rarely, right? But there's a reason for that. It's because they don't really want us to know who we are, okay? Read that.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Because as you can see in the pictures here, they killed just about anyone that they could, okay? And a lot of, I was told falsely as a kid that a lot of Hispanic households, you're three parts of three different, I mean, you're black, Native Indian, and white. I was told that. Why? To pursue the lie that they killed all of us off, okay? But that's a falsehood, that's a lie, right? Give me Deuteronomy 28:30, okay? To show you further elsewhere, to prove that we are these people, all right? That we are the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
So what does that sound to you? That we're raped, right? So did that not happen to us? That did, right? Keep reading.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
So now, I'm a so-called Puerto Rican, right? In Puerto Rico, they have a place called El Moro, all right? The wall. I'm sure in Cuba, there's places similar to it. In those places like that, who do you think built the Spanish conquistadors' forts, the houses that they have? The slaves, right? And now that's very easy to understand, isn't it? Keep reading.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
It's the same with the crops. We were made slaves for them. Okay? Read that.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
What does that sound like? You're right. Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question. Does that happen today? You talk now. Remember what you said? You said families being split up and sold to different people, right? Now, imagine, is that happening today, right now? Yeah. What? So, what's happening in Mexico in the border right now? You see what I'm saying? These things continue to happen to us today. The difference is now it evolves. It changed a little bit. Because now they made it illegal. You're right. That's it. Same thing but a different name. Because now it's illegal to literally sell another human being. So they say. But they do it in other ways. How? They split up our homes when we come over here into the land. The so-called Mexicans, if you know a little bit about the Louisiana Purchase, right? The Mexicans owned all that land. How are you going to tell them not to get out that land when they owned all of up to northern Cali down all the way to Texas? Exactly. The land was stolen to begin with. Right. And we can prove that to you. Where's that at? Keep reading.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
Can you imagine those parents on the borders when they got their children taken away from them? Some parents take more than 8 months to get their children back, to try to separate that family household, you know what I'm saying? And it's been happening ever since 1492.
And there shall be no might in thine hand.
No might meaning no power, okay? Has there ever been any power for us to get our children back? Why hasn't the Mexican government stood up for those people, right? They haven't. As the government. You see what I'm saying? No, there was no military that came over, right? There was no demand for trade. All right, you know what I mean? X amount of money to get these kids out. You know what I'm saying? None of that has taken place. You see what I'm saying? So does that not sound like we are these people? Literally. Because we're not these people metaphorically. Okay? Because these, all right, give me Jeremiah 17:4. When you came up to me, up to here to me, what did you say you were? Cuban, right? So now, prophetic meaning in the future, right? Something to happen later on. Okay? What's that say? Read that. Look at that. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
What's a heritage? All of that. Yeah. And how you dance, the music you had, right? The food. God says that the Israelites would be discontinued from their heritage and from their culture. Give me Isaiah 65:15. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 65 verse 15. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. For the Lord God shall slay thee and call his servants by another name.
God's servants are the Israelites. It just said that his servants, these 12 tribes, will be called by another name.
Right.
Okay? The reason that you're called a Cuban is because the Hispanics, right, or the real conquistadors came over here, changed your name to the name of the line, the land. Okay? Cuba I believe it means fertile land. Okay? You yourself are not a fertile land. No, right? So who are you? That's the problem with me. I was always, who am I? Because Puerto Rico, what does that mean? What does that mean in English? Rich poor. How's the state of Puerto Rico right now? Not. You see what I'm saying? These names, they don't make sense. So we have to find out, well, who are we? If we're not Puerto Ricans, if we're not Cubans, then who are we? Right? We are actually the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel.
That's right.
You ever heard of the lost tribes of Israel? You ever heard of that term? If you look it up, we're them. They won't ever tell you this in the churches. Why? Give me that. Deuteronomy 28:64. This is why you don't learn it in the churches, in your schools. Are you in college? So, in college, right? Maybe you take Latin history or Hispanic history. No. All right. If you do, I guarantee you they will never go past 1492. The furthest they'll get to, that's it. They'll get to, oh yeah, you guys were slaves, but not you guys, you know what I mean? There was a mix and a blend, and then they'll throw it out the window, and then it goes on to white history, okay? Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the end of the earth, even from one end of the earth, even unto the other.
So God said he will scatter us, okay? As a people, the so-called blacks and Hispanics have been scattered all over the world. When you look on, this mainly depicts of the so-called African slave trade, right? But the transatlantic slave trade. But prior to this, these slave routes were reversed, okay? When the Spaniards came, they came down here, and the first island they stopped at was Hispaniola, where the so-called Dominicans were, okay? They brought them back to Spain to show King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, look what we got, all right? They have those things, grab that? They have history books to show you all of them, okay? But the problem is they don't show us our history. But God is saying the same exact thing, right? So if God is saying that we are the Israelites, then that means that we have to be who? Are we just all of them? But mainly as a nation, we are who? Israel. That's it. We are the nation of Israel, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
That's right.
We have been destroyed as a nation because we have been disconnected from God with this Bible. You see what I'm saying? This Bible has always been ours. You see what I'm saying? Finish that out. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
These other gods that we served are other false idols, other fake religions, right? Give me that. Drop that. You can drop that. False, fake religions, right? Who's this man? This is his real name, right? But normally he's depicted. My grandmother had a big picture like this. Who's that? Supposedly. So what did he look like? So we'll show you exactly how brown he is, but now let me first. You understand that you're no longer a Cuban. According to the Bible, who are you? Manessa. That's it.
That's right.
From the nation of what? Israel. You're not a Cuban, all right? Well, let's tell me. Not Israeli. No. The problem is that was it. Okay. Revelations 2. Yeah. All right. This is the problem. Who owns all of South Beach? The so-called Jews, right? The Jewish people. Okay. And then the same. Who is in the land of Israel today? That's what you're getting confused with, right? Okay. So the Jewish people, right? Let me ask you a question. What does the acronym ISH mean after a word? If I told you I'm gonna come to your house, pick you up at about 8-ish, what does that mean? So Maomeno, right? I don't mean exactly at 8 o'clock. So the same when they say that they're Jewish, meaning there's something like the original. Jew is a shortened term for the term Judah. Okay? So now we're gonna get you, according to the Bible, what God says those people are. Because the problem that you're having, I understand, is that there's people already calling themselves Jews, right? You didn't come up to me calling yourself a Jew, right? So now, read that.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich.
So God says he knows the Jews. He knows the Israelites. Their tribulations, what they go through, how they get shot down in the streets, how we get locked up by the police, right? How we get stopped at the border, right? He knows our poverty. The majority of the blacks and Hispanics, just the nations alone, the countries we come from, are poor, right? Not to mention you come here, you try to make a living for yourself, what happens? You're in the same bottom class. But you think you're doing good because you're doing better than what you are back in the island, right? So now, read that again.
I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews.
So he says that he knows the lies, because that's what blasphemy says. He says, I know the lies that are what?
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
But they are, the synagogue means chief house. They are the chief house of Satan, because they have deceived the whole world to believe that they were God's chosen people. But in reality, God's chosen people are us.
That's right.
The blacks and Hispanics. You see what I'm saying? How? At one time, but Israel was never, give me that, Genesis 30, there we go, 32:28, because Israel was never the land first, okay? Israel was a man. He was, the man, Abraham, Isaac, he had a son, then later Jacob, okay? Jacob had his name changed to Israel, okay? That man is our forefather, okay? That man was the forefather of the blacks and Hispanics. But the people over there, get that. The people over there right now they're the ones that are calling themselves Jews. Why? Because they took our culture. They took our history. They took our nationality and deceived the whole world to believe that they are the real people of the Bible.
Right.
Right? Read that.
Genesis chapter 35 verse 10. And God said unto him, thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel.
So now, read that.
And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins.
So the kings that he's talking about, the nations that he's talking about is us.
Right.
Is Cuba not a nation in itself?
Right.
It is, right? So the kings and the nations that would come out of Jacob, come out of Israel, are us.
Right.
Give me Deuteronomy 28 verse 46. Because to show you that these curses are to signify something, okay? All the atrocities, all the evil that we went through, okay, is to signify that we are the children of Israel.
That's right.
And you're not a Cuban. Cuban literally means nothing. It means, right, it means nothing. What's most important is to know who you are, what God says. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Because our people don't really know who we are. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign.
The curses that he's talking about shall be upon you for a sign. Okay, read.
And for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
A sign signifies what? Okay, so it shows you something. That's it. So a sign shows you what something is. Who, what, where, right? Identifying marker. These curses, all these bad things that happen to us, they are for signs. They are to identify who you are now.
Right.
Because you really don't know who you are. You really don't know how great you really are.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? You think you know, but you really don't know. You feel what I'm saying? You know what the word Israel means? Israel means prince that has power of God. You being a woman of the tribe of Manasseh means that you are a princess of God.
Bring it out.
You understand that? The one true God that made everything. You are a direct descendant. You feel what I'm saying? Not every one of these people get that honor. Because God didn't choose all nations to have that honor. He chose one people.
That's right.
The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Now you said both. All of them. The blacks, Hispanics, and the Native Americans.
That's right.
We are all one people. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we are the descendants of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel.
That's right.
You understand? You getting it a little bit? We are the Israelites.
Right.
We're proving it to you. Read that.
Daniel chapter 9 verse 11. Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us.
The curses that we read in Deuteronomy 28, right? With all of us being sold into slavery, right? With us going into getting destroyed, captivity, right? It says that the curse was poured upon us. Not everyone can take claim to that. The so-called Jewish man can only say that he went into the Holocaust, right? Yes, a lot of their people were killed. I'm not going to give that wrong. Huh? Explain. But you still think that that's the problem. You still think that they're... No. What I'm saying is that we are the people of the Bible. Not all those nations. Give me... Say again? They were Africans, but the problem that you're having is that all my brothers right here is African. That's a lie. That's a lie. The Africans and the Africans that sold them were two different people. Okay? They call them here African Americans. Why? Because Africa was conquered by a white man. America was conquered by another white man. So they just called them African Americans and left them here. What you got? Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 14 verse 2. Judah mourning.
See where it says right here? It says Jew, or the Jews are in mourning, right? Read.
Judah mourning.
Why? Because they're in poverty. Don't you see black people getting shot down on the streets? You do, right? You see them getting locked up by the cops? Read.
And the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground.
They are what?
They are black unto the ground.
The Jews are black. The Jews cannot be Caucasian white that are sitting over there in the land right now. You see what I'm saying? King James.
They're called Amalek now. But what we want to prove is that we are those 12 tribes, that we're the real Jews. I'm going to show it to you back in Deuteronomy 28. I know you got to go, but I just want to give you these. Okay, then let me give you something a little bit more important, man. Let's get to the love of God, right? You love God, Natalie? Let's get the love of God. You know how to love God? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're not gonna give you our opinion, our emotion. We're gonna show you what God defines as love. That way you can begin to apply it. Yeah. Read that.
1 John chapter 5, verse 3. For this is the love of God.
It doesn't matter what I think love is, what my pastor or church or religion, what the Bible says is the only thing that matters. So this is the love of God.
That we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
So it says that we keep his laws, and his laws are not hard to do. So now you love God, right? So you would do what he says, right? That's fine, but you would do what he says, right? Deuteronomy 22:5. This is the only law. That's the only one I'm gonna give you, because you say you love God, I gotta give you a law. Remember, you're a princess. Watch this.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
So we got sisters in the congregation at work, and they got jobs like this sister behind you. But when they get home, they put the dress on because they love God and they keep the commandments. You see that? They keep the commandments. You see that? They keep the commandments. So we're not supposed to wear pants. A princess. Okay, give us a call, sis. Remember, the woman cannot wear pants. That is men's clothing. That is men's clothing. Let's read where it's coming from.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 5.
So he didn't say my first and last name. He said Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5. That is not my name.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
So the woman must not wear what pertains to a man according to the Holy Bible. That's right. According to the scriptures. Right. So what happens when we hear these laws come out? Our people, once again, they prove our people don't really love God the way they think they do.
Right.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.